My fiancée said, "I'm uninviting your dad. He's embarrassing with his cancer jokes." My dad used humor to cope with his stage 4 diagnosis. I said quietly, "This wedding isn't happening then." I canceled everything that day and spent the money on a trip with my dad instead. When she saw our photos from Ireland, original post, I, 31 male, lost my mom when I was 16. Car accident, completely unexpected, devastated our family. After that, it was just me and my dad against the world. He raised me alone through high school, helped me through college, was my best man when I thought I'd never need one. 18 months ago, my dad was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. If you know anything about pancreatic cancer, you know that stage 4 is essentially a death sentence. The survival rates are brutal, single digits at 5 years, and most people don't make it past 2. My dad's oncologist was cautiously optimistic about treatment extending his life, but nobody was talking about cures. My dad's response to his diagnosis was exactly what I should have expected. Dark humor. Constant jokes about death, about his expiration date, about how he was finally going to meet Elvis. It's how he's always coped with hard things. When my mom died, he joked his way through the grief while still being present for me. It's not denial, it's survival. His jokes make some people uncomfortable. I get that, but they're also genuinely funny, and more importantly, they're his. His way of dealing with dying at 62 when he should have had another 20 years. I proposed to my girlfriend of 3 years about 8 months ago. She said yes. We started planning a wedding for this coming June. Everything was moving along. I was excited, not just for the marriage, but because my dad would be there to see it. His doctors thought he had a good chance of making it to June, maybe even longer with a new treatment protocol. Then, last month, everything fell apart. My fiancée and I were finalizing the guest list when she brought up my dad. I've been thinking about the reception, about the speeches, and I'm worried about your dad. Worried how his jokes, the cancer jokes, they're really uncomfortable. My family doesn't know how to react. I don't want our wedding to be awkward. My dad's not going to give a speech if you're worried about that. He already said he'd rather just enjoy the party. It's not just the speech. It's everything. The jokes during dinner, the comments to guests. My grandmother is very traditional, and my aunt lost her husband to cancer 3 years ago. So what are you saying? She took a deep breath. I think it might be better if your dad didn't come. I stared at her. You want to uninvite my dying father for my wedding? I'm not saying it like that. I'm just saying maybe he could watch on video call, or we could do something special with him separately. He has stage 4 cancer. He might not be alive in a year. And you want to exclude him from the one milestone he's been fighting to see. You're not listening to me. I'm trying to protect the wedding from being uncomfortable. And I'm trying to protect my father from being treated like he's disposable. He's embarrassing. I'm sorry, but someone has to say it. The jokes are too much. My family doesn't want to deal with it. That word, embarrassing, about my father, who is literally dying, who was holding on to life with everything he had just to see me get married. I stood up. Very calmly, I said, "This wedding isn't happening then." She laughed. Actually laughed. "You can't be serious." I'm completely serious. If you can't have my father at our wedding, then there is no wedding. Over a few jokes? Over your complete lack of humanity toward a dying man. Over your inability to extend the tiniest amount of grace to someone who raised me alone after my mother died. Over the fact that you think your comfort matters more than his presence at his only son's wedding. I can't believe you're choosing him over me. I can't believe you made me choose. I walked out, went straight to my laptop, and started canceling. The venue had a cancellation policy. I lost about $3,000 of the deposit, but got $8,500 back. The caterer was more flexible since we were still 3 months out. Full refund. The photographer let me out of the contract with no penalty because she said, and I quote, "Life happens, sweetheart." The DJ was a jerk about it, but I got half back. Total recovered, about $14,000. Total lost in deposits, around $4,500. Then I made a phone call. "Hey, Dad, how are you feeling?" Like a guy with stage 4 cancer, so pretty spectacular. "What's up? You always said you wanted to see Ireland." "Yeah, before I kicked the bucket." "Why? How do you feel about next month? Silence. Then, you serious? Dead serious. You and me. 10 days. I'll cover everything. He was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was different. Softer. What about the wedding? Wedding's off. I'll explain later. Right now, I want to know if you can travel. Son, if you're offering to take me to Ireland, I will personally fight my oncologist if he tries to stop me. We booked the flights that night. Update 1, 3 weeks later. Ireland was everything. We landed in Dublin, rented a car, and spent 10 days driving the wild Atlantic way. My dad joked about driving on the wrong side of the road the entire time. We stayed in small bed and breakfasts, ate pub food, visited castles, and watched the sun set over the cliffs of Moher. He made cancer jokes to everyone we met. The Irish, it turns out, have a fantastic sense of dark humor. One bartender, after hearing my dad's line about racing the Grim Reaper to see the homeland, laughed so hard he gave us a round on the house. Another elderly woman in a gift shop told my dad he reminded her of her late husband, who joked his way into the grave and probably made the devil laugh too. For 10 days, my dad wasn't a dying man. He was just my dad, telling terrible jokes, taking too many photos, making friends with strangers, and living like he had all the time in the world. It was the best trip of my life. I posted some photos on social media. Not a lot, just a few. Us at the cliffs, at a castle, raising pints in a Dublin pub. I didn't think much about it. Apparently, my ex-fiancée did. I got home 3 days ago. Since then, I've received 12 texts from her, ranging from, "I can't believe you actually went through with this," to "You're going to regret throwing away our future over a trip." 8 texts from her mother, calling me immature, vindictive, and the kind of man who abandons his responsibilities. For texts from her sister, who apparently decided her job was to inform me that I'd humiliated my ex by flaunting the trip online while she was grieving the end of our relationship. And one voicemail from her father, a man who had never liked me much anyway, saying that I'd shown my true colors and that his daughter was lucky to be rid of me. I didn't respond to any of them. But then my ex did something that crossed the line. She reached out to my dad directly. I don't know how. Probably found his number in my old contacts when we lived together. But she sent him a long text message accusing him of manipulating me, saying his attention-seeking behavior had destroyed our relationship, and telling him that his cancer jokes were emotionally abusive. My dad, being my dad, sent back one line, "Ma'am, I'm dying. Your opinion of me is not high on my priority list." Then he blocked her. When he told me about it, he was laughing. But I wasn't. This woman had reached out to my terminally ill father to blame him for our breakup. After SHE was the one who tried to uninvite him from the wedding. I've been willing to let things fade quietly. Not anymore. I drafted a message. Not to her. To the family group chat she'd used to coordinate the harassment. Her mom, her sister, her dad, and her. I've been added to it months ago for wedding planning and never removed. Hi, everyone. I've received a lot of messages over the past few days, and I want to address them all at once. My fiancée asked me to uninvite my father from our wedding because his cancer jokes made her uncomfortable. My father has stage 4 pancreatic cancer. He uses humor to cope with dying. Her response was to call him embarrassing and suggest he watch on video call instead of attending in person. I chose to cancel the wedding and take my dad to Ireland instead. A trip he's dreamed about his whole life and may not have another chance to take. Yesterday, my ex reached out to my father directly to blame him for our breakup and call his coping mechanism emotionally abusive. She did this to a man who is actively dying. I will not be responding to further messages from anyone in this family. I suggest you redirect your energy towards supporting your daughter/sister through her disappointment rather than harassing me for choosing to stand by my father. I sent it and left the group chat. 20 minutes later, my phone started ringing. Her mom, then her sister, then her. I didn't answer any of them, but I did screenshot the messages I'd received, all the texts, the voicemail transcription, everything, and save them in a folder, just in case. Update 2. 10 days later. Things escalated before they got better. After my message to the family group chat, my ex went on a campaign. Not on social media. She's too image conscious for that. but through mutual friends. She started reaching out to everyone we knew together with her version of events. According to her, I had chosen my dad over our relationship. I was unable to handle compromise, and I'd publicly humiliated her by posting photos from Ireland to make her jealous. Some people bought it. A few friends I thought were mutual turned out to be hers first, and they stopped talking to me. Whatever, their loss. But most people asked me what actually happened. And when I told them that she wanted to uninvite my dying father because his coping mechanism made her uncomfortable, the reactions were unanimous. She wanted to uninvite your dad? What the hell? Wait, he's got stage 4 cancer, and she called him embarrassing. Dude, you made the right call. That's insane. The narrative she was trying to build started crumbling. Not because I was actively fighting it, but because the truth was so clearly on my side that it spoke for itself. Then her sister reached out to me privately. This surprised me. The sister had sent some of the nastiest texts after Ireland, calling me selfish and childish. But her private message was different. Hey, I want to apologize for what I said before. I only knew her side of the story. She told us your dad made inappropriate comments at family dinners and refused to stop even when asked. She never mentioned the cancer jokes or that she wanted to uninvite him completely. I replied, what exactly did she tell you? That he made crude jokes about death at your cousin's graduation party and you defended him instead of apologizing. That he was disruptive at your engagement dinner. That she'd asked you multiple times to talk to him about toning it down and you refused. He made one joke at the graduation party about racing the clock, and her mom laughed. At the engagement dinner, he told a story about my mom that ended with she'd kill me if she saw me crying, so I'm telling jokes instead. He wasn't disruptive. He was coping. I didn't know that. She made it sound so different. She wanted to uninvite him from the wedding entirely, not ask him to give fewer speeches, not seat him away from her grandmother. Uninvite him, because his way of dealing with dying made her uncomfortable. The sister went quiet for a long time. Then, I'm really sorry. About everything. And I'm sorry about your dad. I thanked her and that was it. We haven't talked since. But here's where things got interesting. A few days after that conversation, I got a message from my ex's cousin. A guy I met maybe 3 times, not close at all. Hey man, heard about what happened. Wanted to let you know my family's pretty split on this. A lot of us think she was wrong. Some of us told her that directly. What did she say? She said everyone was taking your side because you manipulated the story. She still thinks she did nothing wrong. That didn't surprise me. Entitled people rarely see their own entitlement. In her mind, she was the victim of my overreaction, of my dad's behavior, of everyone who dared to suggest she might have handled things poorly. One more thing, the cousin added. Her mom is freaking out because she already told all her friends about the wedding. Now she's got to explain why it was canceled. She's blaming you, but some people are asking questions. I didn't feel bad about that. The mom had left me a voicemail calling me vindictive. She could explain her daughter's actions to her friend herself. Final update, 14 days later. This is my last update because, honestly, the drama is over and I'm ready to close this chapter. After the cousin's message, things quieted down. My ex stopped her campaign against me. Probably because it wasn't working and the family harassment stopped too. Blocked numbers stayed blocked. Life moved on, but I want to share what happened with my dad, because that's really what this whole story is about. 2 days after we got back from Ireland, my dad had a follow-up with his oncologist. The latest scans showed something unexpected. The tumor hadn't grown. In fact, it had shrunk slightly. Not dramatically. Not enough to change his prognosis significantly, but enough to suggest the new treatment protocol was working better than expected. His doctor used the word cautiously optimistic again, but this time with actual data behind it. My dad's response, so what you're saying is, I might actually make it long enough to be annoying at family Christmas. The doctor laughed. I laughed. My dad laughed. That night, we went out for dinner, just the 2 of us, at his favorite steakhouse. He ordered the biggest cut on the menu because what are they going to do? Kill me. Over dinner, he said something I'll never forget. I know you gave up a lot for that trip. The wedding, the money, the future you were planning. I didn't give up anything important. I'm serious. You could have just pushed back on her. Compromised. Let me watch on Zoom or whatever she suggested. Dad, She wanted to exclude you from my wedding because you cope with cancer by making jokes. That's not something I'm willing to compromise on. But you loved her. I thought I did. But loving someone means accepting their family too. And she saw you, the man who raised me, who's fighting for every day he has left. And her first instinct was to manage you, to minimize you, to make you smaller, so she could be more comfortable. He was quiet. That's not love, I continued. That's tolerance. And you deserve better than to be tolerated at your own son's wedding. He reached across the table and grabbed my hand. Didn't say anything. Didn't need to. We finished dinner. Split a piece of cheesecake. Made fun of the waiter's bow tie. Normal stuff. As for my ex, I heard through the grapevine, via that cousin who keeps me loosely informed, that she's already dating someone new, some guy from her work. Her mom has apparently embraced this new relationship with enthusiasm, probably relieved to have a new wedding to plan someday. I hope it works out for her. Genuinely. Not because I forgive her. I don't. But because if she's happy with someone else, she'll leave me alone. And that's all I want at this point. Some people in the comments asked if I regret anything. If maybe I should have tried harder to make her understand before canceling everything. No. Here's why. When someone shows you who they are, when they look at your dying father and call him embarrassing, when they suggest he be excluded from your milestone because his survival mechanism makes them uncomfortable, that's not a misunderstanding. That's a revelation. I saw who she really was, and I chose accordingly. The money I spent on Ireland? Best investment I ever made. We have photos, memories, inside jokes that will last the rest of our lives, however long that turns out to be. My dad is still here, still making jokes, still annoying me in the best possible way. And I get to live with zero regret about how I prioritize my time with him. That's worth more than any wedding. Thanks for following along, everyone. Your comments and support meant a lot during a really complicated time. Hug your people while you have them.